Here's Ryan.
Hey, welcome on into the reckoning. It is 4 o'clock. Time for a couple hours. There's a lot. There's so much to talk about today. I'm not entirely sure how we're going to fit this in. I might lobby Fish for like a 4-hour marathon extension just so we can cover every tariff percentage piece by piece. I'm kidding. He glazed over just then, even me mentioning.
When do you need me?
No. I'm only kidding. We won't do that. But we are going to start off with
Just give me 5 minutes of notice.
We are going to start off with a bang today and just get straight to it. I've got in studio here with me Ashley Sturm, running for the Francis Howell School Board. We actually had Randy Cook on last week, folks. You might remember, but this election is tomorrow. So we've got a lot of things moving, and we want this to be a bigger and better attended election than all of the indicators say. So that's what we're here to do. Ashley, thanks so much for coming in with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. We're hoping drive home, people will be paying attention. You got a captive audience.
Yep.
We need voters.
That's right. We need voters. We need people to engage. I know there's more than 15% of the voting electorate around here that listen to talk radio. I'm positive of it. So I'm glad you're out, beating the airwaves today. That's really good. But let's just run with this. I know I've got you for just a few minutes, which I forgot to tell you, Fish. I want to push this a little bit. If you can give me a little space on the backside, we'll shorten up the next segment. I want to try to keep Ashley around. She told me one segment, so we're going to stretch that as long as
Whatever you need. By the way, I just fixed the captions.
Thank you.
Someone's got to make it to football.
I
practice.
noticed that on the live stream. Way to break the fourth wall, but thank you for that. That's good.
It should be fixed now.
It's good. You did. Thank you. I saw that. I noticed that. All right. Ashley, tell me what led you to this, because I've never seen your name on my ballot before.
Nope.
You're not a political animal that's coming at this from some
Not
sort of
even a
past.
little.
So, we talked to Randy. Randy's on the board running for re-election. You're running for the very first time. What in the world drove you to go to the madness of being at the anger and ire of the parents of Francis Howell School District? I'm kidding. It's not that bad. What brought you here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm personally very invested. I've told this story. For those who have not heard it, I have a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 6-year-old. Extremely invested, because when my husband and I decided to kind of put down roots, we specifically sought out Francis Howell. So I had some teacher friends who, said, "Oh man, that's where you got to go. That's where you got to be." So I mean, like a 2-year-long search to find the place where we wanted to, stay for the next 15 to 20. So very, very invested. Very, it really means a lot to me, because I'm here for at least the next 12 years with that 6-year-old. He's only in kindergarten. And I thought I could bring something really to the board. We all have skills in our toolkit, and I thought maybe the skill set I could bring would be helpful.
What is that skill set?
Yeah.
What do you hope to add to the board?
Yeah, I mean, aside from just being fiscal management is something that's in my background. I've worked as an executive leader the past number of years, but also communication. So way back in a different life, worked in news and journalism, and I understand at least how that works. And I saw this gap, truthfully, with the Francis Howell School Board, and kind of the message that was being put forth, sometimes unfairly, really, about the board and the things that they were doing. And I was having a pretty frank conversation with somebody, and I was saying, but they could have said this, they could do this, or, they could go around. You don't have to use the local media anymore. There are other platforms at their disposal. And they kind of looked at me and they said, well, that's not maybe their toolkit, but that's yours. So why don't you do it? And at some point, that's where rubber meets the road, right? When somebody goes, well, you talk a big game.
Right.
Why don't you do it? Don't bring me a problem. Bring me a solution. And so.
That's great. And that is, we always talk about, I talk about a lot that the whole American experiment here from the Oval Office on down is supposed to be a citizen-led endeavor. We take I take my turn of service. And we've obviously turned into more of a professional political, animal here in the U.S. And frankly, I mean, that, 350 plus million people, the biggest economy in the world, that makes sense that there's been growth and you just have people who know what they're doing, because it's this big thing to keep spinning. However, at the heart of it all, especially on the legislative, the local side, citizen-led.
Yeah.
So it's an opportunity to really kind of drive that home for people. Hey, I care, so it's time that I guess I run. And then it's you run next. You have an opinion to me. Well, I'm not going to run next time. You do it. Like, this is a really good way to kind of put that up. So in the spirit of that, let me ask you, what are a couple of things, if there are, how do you think it's going currently in Francis Howell? What are some things you would change, if anything, something you maybe have a critique on? And then I'll ask you about your priorities after that.
I kind of touched on the communication issue. Greater transparency as we continue forward. I mean, I think they are pulling all the right levers for transparency. Of course, everything's on board docs, everything's streamed live. But is that reaching parents, right? Is anyone actually able to digest that in a quick way? I don't know that has got the check mark yet. So I would say improvement there. What I would say is in the past 3 years, we've seen so much improved in Francis Howell. I mean, they really do have a lot of good things going for them. And unfortunately, we don't hear that as often. Now, I kind of spoke earlier. That's not the way news works all the time. Culture of fear headlines make higher ratings.
Right.
But you know what? Our community is strong. Our test scores are the highest in our county. We're doing a good job. And so I think continuing that improvement, one of the things that we'll have to continue on is showing that we can be good stewards of our taxpayers' resources. So we're on the right path, but it takes more than a few years to prove that out, right? And I mean, even in this position, I haven't lived in Francis Howell for the last 2 decades, as some people have. And people have even come to me in this race and be like, oh, do you remember the kindergartner count thing? I'm like, how long ago was that?
Yeah.
Those stories last a long time.
They do.
Rebuilding a brand in that way really takes time. So we have to earn back that trust. So that's something that I'd want to continue to improve.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, then let me ask you with this, because I know a lot of things are moving, and I'll kind of preface this with I'll smash a couple of questions together. Right now, there's a massive focus, and it trickles all the way down to every state, especially Missouri, Federal Department of Education on the chopping block. Now, I think a lot of people are starting to kind of realize, okay, that doesn't mean that all the federal funding mechanisms, Titles 1, 2, 3, 9 and 10, we've talked a lot about, those do not disappear necessarily with the Department of Education. A giant bureaucracy does. But then the question is, what kind of effects are we going to see trickle down to the states? And then how much is that going to trickle down to each local school board? What change is anticipated coming? And then what are we going to do with it? Because I think that's the thing. A lot of folks have realized post-2020, there's been such a surge in homeschooling, such a surge in moving toward private school. I think a lot of parents have realized, wait a minute, it's not just, I don't want my kids in the bad influence of who knows what's going on in public schools. It's, hey, the system itself is not really teaching our kids much. I mean, maybe we're, all measuring towards some kind of standards. And Randy actually pointed it out great. Hey, we're the best. But if you look at our numbers, you go, really? That's the best on a scale of 1 to 100? Like, what should we be doing? So let me ask you this. What are some of your priorities, seeing that there might be big changes coming very soon at the federal level, which will, in the next few years, go to the state and on down, financially or otherwise? What are some major steps you would like to see? I mean, shoot for the stars, not just the tinkering. Like, I'd like to see better communication here and there. What change can you articulate that you would really like to see? Okay, here's where I want us in the future. Here's a good place for us to go to earn the trust of parents again. And also, as a parent yourself, to say, I would trust my children with this, because we're moving away from whatever it is that people are mad at. Vision cast for me for a little bit here. What are some of those big, bold ideas you might want to see in the future?
Yeah, so let me start off by saying that I do trust for my kids to be in the school district. Right now my kids are specifically in Daniel Boone Elementary, and they have done such a phenomenal job. I cannot sing their praises enough. So I want to preface the foundation by that, saying I have full confidence right now that my kids are going to continue on in the school district. I trust the school board. I'm really excited about the superintendent who is coming in, and I think we are on a good path. So that being said, I do think that Francis Howell has the ability to be one of the top performing school districts in our state. I think that's very much within the realm of achievement. Of course, doing those things you're gonna have to continue to be fiscally responsible. I think another thing is really creating future ready students. So I say that specifically because not every student's path is going to lead to university. Through my own experience growing up in a school district where that was maybe the only path that was pushed, I think it's really important to remember that there are other paths out there. So whether that is joining the military, opening your own business, going into the workforce, being in a trade school, there are other paths that equal success. And then, of course, being able to make sure that teachers feel really empowered to do their jobs and do their jobs well, at the same time making sure that parents feel that there's complete transparency there. Now, all of that has to be encompassed by student success being the North Star, right? because here's the deal. You're right. Change is likely coming, but change is always coming.
Right.
Change will always happen. The landscape will shift. We can't depend on the status quo, because when you start depending on a status quo of some level of safety or protection, then you get complacent. So we have to continue student success being number one. No matter what change comes our way, we are the best option out there. Francis Howell is number one performing. We are going to continue on that growth path.
Okay, sounds good. I like what I hear. I like that there's a change coming, other paths. That's certainly good, and we'll leave it at that so that you can get back to work. You got a lot of people to get out. Remind folks where they can find information about you tonight. We're voting tomorrow, April 8th. Ashley Sturm, remind me your website.
It's votesturm.com. It's STURM as in Mike. So votesturm.com, and election starts 6 a.m. tomorrow.
That's
Closes
right.
at 7 p.m. You've got all day.
All day.
Yeah, we'll be at the polls.
No reason not to, folks. Votesturm.com. Ashley, thank you so much for stopping by for a few minutes.
Thanks for having me.
All right, folks, we're going to be right back, taking a quick break here on The Reckoning.